I got to a point where I realized I created this. And that means I could create something else. And I redesigned my life and I redesigned how I use my time.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. This is your host, Camille Walker, and I am so thrilled to be back. Most of you may not know this, but I bulk record my episodes months in advance so that I take the summers off. This is my first episode coming back in, even though you've had regular episodes. You don't know that I've been taking a break, but I have. And I'm so thrilled to be back and to be here with you in a fresh and exciting way because today's guest, Lisa, is exactly, I was just telling her on our pre-interview, she's exactly the kind of guest that I love to have here on the podcast. She has walked the walk. She has a true love for mothers and helping them to establish healthy lifestyles, also to build a business that helps support women in a balance of motherhood and business. And I'm so excited to hear what she has to say. So to tell you a little bit more about her, she is Lisa Druxman. She's the founder of FIT4MOM, the nation's leading company for pre and postnatal health, wellness, and fitness programs. What started as a one mom desire to connect and feel strong and having her baby has grown into a nationwide movement empowering women to find strength in motherhood, both physically and mentally. So, we are going to talk about how this franchise grew, impacting thousands of women. And she is celebrating 24 years of this business. So, she knows what she's talking about. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It is so my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah. So tell our audience a little bit more about you, where you live, your family, what started you in this fitness movement for moms.
Yeah, so you always know how old my business is by how old my son is. So my oldest son is my only son is Jacob, and he's 24 years old. My daughter is 20, and I've been married to my husband Jason for 3 decades. And I feel like I have raised my family and raised my business at the same time because I started Fit for Mom, which was originally just stroller strides when Jacob was just 3 months old.
Okay, that's a pretty quick entry into I'm ready to do this. Had you been always a go-getter of like, okay, it's been 3 months, now I'm ready for the next thing? Like, what motivated you so early in that motherhood moment
Yeah,
to
it's a
launch a
fun
business?
story because I was not looking to start a business. I was on maternity leave and I thought
Mhm.
I was going to go back to my career as a general manager at a health club. I was devastated about that. Not 'cause I loved working, but I wanted to be a mom and I worked 60 to 70 hours a week. And so I just didn't really know how that was going to work. So during my maternity leave, I didn't want to leave Jacob to work out. So I created a stroller workout that we could do together. And it was
Mm.
always our best hour of the day. And I'm like, know what? This would be so much better with other moms. So I started inviting some moms in my neighborhood. And that way I was getting questions answered about nursing and sleeping and everything I needed to know about motherhood. And long story short, that turned into a business. It wasn't anything I had meant to do. I used to do the fitness stories for the local news station, and they called me and said, Lisa, we need someone tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to promote stroller strides like it's a business. And Camille, it was so not a business that when I did the story, they had to put my personal cell phone and my personal email on the screen. And I
Amazing.
promoted a grand opening class that I didn't even have a permit for and no plan for. And I promoted it and I came back from the studio and there were 70 emails waiting for me from women
Whoa.
who just wanted to get out and needed something. They needed connection. They needed so much more than fitness. So I did get a permit and I did that grand opening class and I told my husband I'm not going back to work. I'm going to turn this into a business and long story short, it started as stroller strides here in San Diego. I felt like I hit the mom job lottery. I just felt so blessed to have this career that was having an impact and making money and that I could do with my son. And then we started getting requests from women all over the country who wanted to start or join classes. So we ended up franchising the business and Now here we are 24 years later with over 200 franchisees, over 1,200 instructors, and we have literally probably reached a million moms in the last 2 decades.
Wow, that is so powerful. What I love about your business is it very much feels like bringing women to the well. And I don't know if you've heard of that analogy, but it's kind of that idea where in generations past, we all came to the same place to get our water and our life
Yes.
source and have a place where we come together and we talk about the breastfeeding, we talk about the naps or whatever the things are, but the more connected we've become on the internet, the less connected we are in terms of community. And
Yeah.
so I love that your business has established that in a way that it brings mothers and women together and fitness. I mean, I'm a huge fitness advocate, so that alone is so good for mental health. So I love that you were able to do that. I'm curious how you were able to so quickly, and I'm guessing it's from your previous job experience, but so quickly monetize and to know, okay, this is the service, this is how I'm going to monetize this. Can you walk us through that a little bit, like
Yeah,
what that
so
looked like?
the original program was Stroller Strides. We now have 8 different programs, but Stroller Strides was what we started with, and it's a stroller-based workout. And that was kind of my background was creating programming. So that was pretty easy for me. I knew how to market it, I knew how to train instructors, how to teach the classes, and I just came up with what I felt like was a fair membership rate based on how many classes I was offering and in my first year in San Diego, we ended up opening 12 class locations and I hired instructors. And I will tell you, that was all I needed. I felt like, okay, I'm making money and that's great. It was when we started getting requests from all over the country that I'm like, oh, wow, I want to
Yeah.
share this. And so that led to a new level of monetizing. We ended up franchising the business. And that I knew nothing about and was a massive learning and undertaking because franchising is very different than just knowing a fitness business.
Absolutely. I That's actually leads me to that question of what were some of those early day challenges of building that business and coming to understand what a franchise is. I was actually with a girlfriend just 2 days ago who just opened an ice cream shop franchise, and she was lamenting to me the challenges of that. So I'm curious how that translates for you in a fitness business and what you were learning that way.
Yeah, so I will tell you a secret, Camille, is that we didn't start as a franchise. And while it's a secret, it's not really a secret, but it's not normally part of our big story. But it's a great learning lesson. And I always want to lessen the learning curve for other entrepreneurs. Um, I had the business idea. It was really a business in a box. I knew I could train other women to do it. And I just didn't know how was I going to do this? How was I going to scale it? So I went to an attorney that someone referred me to, and she said, well, you definitely want a license. You don't want to franchise it. Franchising is really expensive and big, giant undertaking. So I'll put together a license agreement and you'll be set. So that was how we started. So when you think of a license, to me, it was like an instructor certification. They bought this really small territory and they were able to teach the classes and it took off. It was amazing. I really did feel like I hit the mom job lottery. And we were on the Today Show and it was incredible. We were having
Wow.
this huge impact and it was just so life giving. And 2 weeks after being on the Today Show, we got a letter from the Federal Trade Commission saying, somebody reported you and we believe you should be a franchise and not a license.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
when things got really scary. So that's again part of, a lot of people don't realize that. So I then went to a franchise attorney and he said, you're in trouble because you have 128 licensees. You're in, I don't remember, like 30 states at the time and you would have to defend yourself in all these states to prove that you're not a franchise. So his recommendation was, you know what, just become a franchise, make the
Hmm.
transfer. And we did do that and it worked out, but it wasn't necessarily the right thing for our business because franchising is a lot. So we ended up franchising the business. It was a really scary time. We had to offer all 128 licensees their full money back, which would have bankrupted us.
Wow.
And luckily, only 2 took it. And the only ones that took it was because they were moving, not because they were unhappy with the business. So I don't even remember what your question was, but that was the crazy story. So we then had to learn about franchising, and so then I hired franchise coaches and all franchise attorneys, and you learn a completely different way to run a business. Franchising is great because 90% of new businesses fail, which is so sad. But 90% of franchises businesses succeed because it's a proven business model. So like
Mm-hmm.
everything is there to protect the franchisee. So there's a lot that needs to be figured out and a lot of systems that need to be created to make sure that franchisees have this repeatable system.
Yeah, that's an interesting statistic. I hadn't heard that before. And you answered the question perfectly of, how did you learn how to do that? How many years into developing the business, what did you transfer from a licensed to a franchise?
It's all kind of a blur, but I think we started licensing pretty soon after I started the business, like maybe a year afterwards. I think we were licensing for a year to 2 years, just a couple of years. Like it was a
Wow.
crazy couple of years.
I'd
And then
say you
we,
have a
yeah,
hundred some odd.
it
That's
was amazing. It was
crazy.
such fast growth. Here, Camille, I want you to think about this. This is 2003. There's no Facebook. There's no social media.
That is actually the question I had is how did this, I guess
This
from
is
being on TV would be
pure word
and
of
word of
mom.
mouth.
It's pure word of mom. It is women talking to their sister, their cousin, their friend, and everybody saying, "Know what? This is something really special," and telling people
Mm,
about it. So it was people. We were just getting emails from women who said, "My friend Camille is taking classes in Utah. I want to start classes in Colorado." Like that's how it happened.
wow, that's amazing.
It was
Did you
quite a ride.
know, like, what did you think was the key to scaling but keeping the mission personal?
You know, it has always been a really values driven business. Like more than just sets and reps. The community was always a really big part of it. I knew that I wanted to create a place that women felt seen and appreciated and recognized and supported. And so people would come for the fitness, but they would stay for the community. And Camille, my
Mhm.
original group of moms from 20 something years ago are still the best of friends and all sent their kids to college together. So
Oh, I love that.
we now, we teach all of our franchisees right from the start. We start with culture. I believe that saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So we
Mm,
really teach franchisees. In fact, I just did an onboarding call with franchisees an hour ago, and we talk about how do you make sure that before class, during class, after class, every single client, like I said, feels connected, appreciated, recognized, and encouraged.
yeah, that seems like, I mean, those are the values of the business, truly, to keep that alive, especially within franchisees and the owners of that really buying into that mission. How were you able to facilitate that, especially in the beginning? Because I'm like, if you didn't have social media, you weren't like having Facebook groups. How did you facilitate that?
Yeah, looking back, it's kind of crazy because you do things when you have a smaller business that are not necessarily scalable.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first started with our first probably 12 franchisees, I literally flew out there and trained them personally. Like I
Wow.
spent days with them training them. Now that is definitely not anything scalable and everything is online and we have all kinds of online groups. And you know, we did our first conference. I mean, we do conferences now, and they're big events, but our first conference was it's so funny to say. It was in my house. Like I had 2 dozen franchisees come to my house in my family room, sitting in my backyard at the lunch table, and that's how you do it. So I think there's
Mm.
something, this is kind of a cool takeaway, I think, is that when you have a small business, when you're first starting, you can go so much deeper. And that's something special. You won't always be able to do that, but take advantage of it while you can. And then you start thinking about what's a scalable system.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I mean, but that goes to show that your heart was so invested in it to say, come, literally come to my table and be a
Yes.
part of this. That's really cool. What would you say for moms listening that have a dream like yours that maybe don't feel like they have the time? Because that's a big element is, you know, maybe they don't feel quite ready or maybe I don't have the time. Like, what advice would you give them, especially now looking back 24 years ago, where you had this brand new baby and you went for this? What advice would you give to someone who has that dream but maybe feeling like it's not
I
possible?
Can I use advice from Simon Sinek, which is
Yes.
start with why.
Yeah.
So if you've not read the book, then watch the TED Talk. Start with why. Simon Sinek says people don't care what you do; they care why you do it. And
Hmm.
I think if you can get really clear on your why for your business, then we can figure out the what and the how. My why was very clearly so that I could have a career that integrated with motherhood at the beginning. And so that meant that I created this business I could do from home versus opening a health club where I'd have to be gone for 60 hours a week. So I think about if you can get clear on your why, then we can figure out the what and the how and what kind of time it takes. There are sacrifices, there are risks you're going to have to take. If you really feel like you don't have the time, then there's a saying that I like about pound the stone, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, but the concept is that like a stone cutter or something like that could pound a stone 100 times and not see a crack, but on the 101st time, it cracks open. And so if you feel like you don't have a lot of time, then what I want you to do is pound the stone 5 times a day. At
Mhm.
least take 5 small action steps. I literally, Camille, that's how I got on your podcast because you're part of my pound the stone routine where in the mornings I pound the stone 5 times to get on a podcast. So think about what is going to move you one step forward. So you might not be able to do everything, but you can always do something.
Oh, I love that. I love that analogy because it's true. There's always pockets of time that, even as a mom, whether it's like early in the morning, during nap time, late at night, however it works for you, pounding the stone matters because
Yeah.
it's reps, right?
Yep.
I actually had someone I interviewed, this was, gosh, probably 2 years ago now, and she was an intern and calling major design brand magazines. And she said, I was young enough and dumb enough to not even know who I was
Yeah.
calling, and she ended up getting this incredible opportunity with the head of a design magazine that she never would have unless she was putting those reps in. And
Yes.
she said the number one thing for her was that she took the emotion out of it, where it was, I have to put in this many reps or pounding of the stone to get the yes, because that's just part of the game. It's
Yes.
not personal, it's not about me. And I thought, wow, that is such a beautiful way of removing that personal attachment to your value. Of if someone says no, it reflects something about you. It's more about putting in the reps of showing up and pounding the stone. So I love that
I
advice.
love that you said that she was, dumb enough or just that she didn't know enough because that is a lot of it. Like Camille, that's how I got the Today Show the first time was I didn't have a PR agent at the time. I used to reach out to Good Morning America. We got on it. But I also, while we got some of the big ones, I got 100 no's.
Mm,
Like you you just have to look at every single no as getting you closer to yes and every single no as what's the lesson in it in terms of did I not reach out to the right person or is there a better approach or is there another way to another angle to go. So I just I think tenacity and persistence makes a really big difference.
yeah, I would agree with that. Oh, that is so cool. What does balance look like for you as both a CEO and a mom? I know that obviously your children are a bit older now, but you've had literally decades of figuring this out. What are some of the top tips for that balance? And trust me, I know that when your kids become adults, mothering doesn't end, it just looks different. It's a higher stakes. So, but what are some of those tips or bits of advice that you could give to our listeners about striking that balance day in and day out? Hey everyone, Camille here. If you are listening to this episode and thinking that this Fit for Mom franchise may be a good business opportunity for you, I have great news that if you schedule a call with Lisa and look into the franchise, you actually have the opportunity to get a signed book from her, the Level Up Your Life book that we talk about in this episode. Make sure that you say that you found her through the podcast to have access to this opportunity. And if you make a phone call with her, set up an appointment with her, you can get that book autographed and have a chat with her and see if this is a great fit for you. If you're into fitness, building community, you do not have to have a fitness background to be eligible to take part in the franchise opportunity. So super cool. I love everything about this opportunity and Lisa. So good luck, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, well, I can tell you as light for you in the future is that this is a great stage and the easiest stage, and it's amazing. But those early years were rough. I said that started the business so I could be a mom first and foremost. I did not expect the business to take off on a national level and be running hundreds of franchisees. And so I got to a point of there was no balance. It was total burnout, total
Mm.
overwhelm, totally feeling like I wasn't doing anything good enough. I felt like I wasn't being a mom good enough. I wasn't being a CEO good enough. And I got to a point where I realized I created this. And that means I could create something else. And I redesigned my life and I redesigned how I use my time. And that ended up being the catalyst for my second book, which was The Empowered Mama. So it's about how to reclaim your time, your health, and yourself. I really got clear on what's most important to me, and I put that in first. I used to write a column for Entrepreneur Magazine on mom entrepreneurs. And every single month, my editor would say, Lisa, can we do another article on balance? I'm like, how many articles can we do on balance? But it's because that is the thing that none of us can figure out. So I'll tell you a secret, and it sounds too simple, but I swear to you it works. If you first put in what's most important to you, the rest is what falls out. So if you first put in your self care, maybe it's not perfect, but your minimum effective dose of self care. If you first put in your minimum effective dose of what you want to be doing with parenting or your relationship with your spouse, you schedule that, then everything else falls out. And know what? What fell out for me in the early years was I didn't have much time for doing stuff with friends. And that was okay because now I have lots of time with friends. I maybe didn't have as much time to scroll social media or to watch TV. And that was okay too, because know what? Every day I was getting in my minimum effective dose of self care. I was making sure I was getting in the exercise I needed or wanted to, meditation or sleep or whatever it is. I feel like it's a very personal thing. But as moms, normally we let that be the last thing that goes in. So think about Stephen Covey's big rocks. Your most important things are your big rocks. You put those big rocks in on your schedule first, and the things that don't fit are the things that are really just not that important.
I love that advice. It's true. I think that if you really take time to schedule those things in for yourself and not let them fall to the wayside, then you are taking care of those fundamentals that will sustain you, right?
Yes.
Because
Like what's
otherwise,
non-negotiable for you? Like
yes,
what's
yes.
non-negotiable for you for sleep? What's non-negotiable for you for exercise? Like maybe your ideal would be 5 days a week, but if you can get in 3 days a week, that's your non-negotiable. Put that in on your
Mm,
calendar. And, often when someone says like, oh, I don't have the time or whatever, like let's look at your calendar and see what's really important to you because your calendar is telling me what's really important to you. Put that in
yeah.
first.
Ooh, that's powerful. I always tell women, tell me what your screen time looks like on your phone.
I
And
know.
same for me too.
Me
It's very
too.
humbling to think, oh my gosh, I scrolled for 2 hours. How did that
I
even
know.
happen? It's so easy to do. And even more so now than it was,
It's addicting.
totally.
I had to take it off on my phone because no matter how much willpower I tried to have, I would do a post and all of a sudden I'm scrolling for mindlessly. So
Mhm.
like, yeah, yeah, I can't
That
have it.
actually leads into my next question perfectly is
Yeah.
what boundaries have you put into place and routines that have helped to protect your energy and also productivity in terms of your business life and your personal life?
Yeah, so taking social media off my phone was one thing that I did. I'm huge about time blocking, and
Mhm.
so when I time block, I put in those things that are most important to me. One of the big, I mean, I feel like some of the things are so cliche, but I don't know, maybe success leaves clues that if other people have said it, it's because
Yeah.
it works. For me, a morning ritual is a game changer, and that can be whatever you want it to be, but the
Let's
concept
hear what
is
yours is. I want to
all
hear.
right.
Okay.
So, when the kids were little, it was very brief. Like it was
Mhm.
just a matter of getting up before they did, and it was, maybe a little bit of journaling and a few minutes of meditation. Now that my kids are grown, I get to be way I can go deeper. So again, just realize it's longer because I have the time for it now. But my morning ritual is that I start with journaling. I have a variety of prompts that I use and a gratitude journal. I really kind of just set my mindset for the day. It's a place to just kind of empty whatever's my monkey brain, get it out on paper. I do some tracking of different things that I'm working on, and that's kind of ties into Level Up Your Life, my book. I'm very into tracking. As a CEO, we track a lot. That's part of what you teach, and we use dashboards, but I've created a dashboard for my life. I do meditation in the morning, and then I walk my dog and I listen to a book. So there's some sort of learning, and there's definitely coffee.
That sounds beautiful. I have transitioned into a space of being able to have a longer morning ritual, and it is so nice. But yes, years and years of 2 minutes here. I want to sleep in more than I want the meditation, which is real. When you're like
Yeah.
having little babies and not sleeping, you sleep as long as you
I always
can.
say, if you're sleep deprived, you do not listen to my advice. When you're
Yeah.
getting enough sleep, then wake up before your family wakes up
Yeah.
because having some time for yourself that you're choosing how
Huge.
you use it. And I feel like it's different for everybody. Like,
Hmm.
don't follow mine, follow what gives you life. For some people, it might be crocheting, for some people, it might be reading the Bible. Like, whatever is going to reset you, recharge you, give you some clear intention for how do you want to show up for your day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. With Fit for Moms, with it being so much about community and the women coming together, I would love to hear what maybe a story or two that you have to share about women that have been involved in your community and how it's changed their lives.
The stories, I literally have goosebumps as I think about it. I came up with the idea for Fit for Mom, but it's my franchisees and my instructors who carry it out every single day. And so when I get a chance to go visit them, I just got back from Colorado and Florida and Texas. The stories that they share with me are unbelievable. And we've seen it all. We've seen women who had postpartum psychosis
Mm,
and were in a really, really dark place. And when they first, I mean, literally, I have a woman who was institutionalized after having her baby, which is just the most heartbreaking thing. And then when she was released, the doctor said, I want you to get exercise and I want you to, find a community and get outside. And she found stroller strides because she's like, it meets all of those. And she tells me how this program has changed her life. And then I have stories of, well, this is a personal story because she was a client of mine. So this is a while ago, but she first came to Stroller Strides and she was morbidly obese. And the way Stroller Strides is set up is that we meet at like a park or a location and we will walk and do a body strength station and we walk and do a body strength station. It's just kind of like a moving class. And she was so obese and couldn't walk that far that I was thinking, she's not even going to make it to a station. Like, how am I going to support this mom? And so I said to her, look, I'm always going to be in your eyesight. You'll always be able to see us. And I just want you to walk. And if you never make it to the station, it's okay. Like, we're going to come back for you. And she barely made it to anything. And I was thinking, God, she is never going to come back. And she came back. And she came back again. And she came back again.
mm.
And I kid you not that 6 months later, she and I ran a 5K together. 6 months
Wow.
later. I mean, it wasn't a fast run, but like,
Sure.
and I still know her 20 years later, and she has taken off all the weight and she is healthy. And she's like, that program and you believing in me changed my life. So there are more stories than I could ever count. And that is what keeps me going on any day I want to throw in the towel.
Wow, that's incredible. And to think the barrier of entry, you kept it so good, like easy and attainable. And I think that that is often, especially with fitness,
Yes.
where we think, oh, I'm never going to be good enough, never fast enough. I can't keep up with this or that. To have that support and to say, we're here for you and we're going to see you through every step is so wonderful. Oh,
I
that is,
think it's a giant miss with the fitness industry. I
mhm.
feel like the fitness industry is for fit people. And the stats have always been that like 80% of America doesn't work out. 80%.
Yeah.
And when I started stroller strides, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am hitting some of that 80% because I had women who had never worked out before come to stroller strides. And they came because one, they felt like, oh, it's a stroller walk, I can do it. Where let me tell you, it can be a really hard workout, but if you want it to be a stroller walk, it's doable for anybody. And there's no mirrors. And they were coming
Mm,
because they wanted the community and they wanted the connection. And the fitness was icing on the cake for them.
yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like more fitness programs need to make it accessible and support every stage.
Well, especially for as a new mom or mom with any kids, it can be so isolating and hard to get out of the house because you
Yes.
feel in some ways like it's a bit of a prison where you're in your house, you may not have access to childcare. And even if you do go to the gym, there's so many germs at the kids' daycare. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So I
I
love that
do.
it's so attainable in terms of you literally can show up with your kid with a stroller. That's what I did for years was
Yeah,
walking with my stroller because I could have my double and keep, two in the stroller and still be a part of it. And meeting up with one of my best friends that lived a street behind me, we became best friends through daily walks. So even though I haven't done this program, I can attest to that it was a lifeline to me being able to go out for those walks and be able to talk and connect and get our fitness in. So it makes so much sense to me.
love it.
So, what
Thanks.
kind of a legacy do you hope to leave behind in terms of? I mean, I can guess what that would look like, but with bringing so many women together, what is that legacy that you hope sustains and is there beyond you?
I hope that stroller strides, especially, lasts far beyond me. I hope that it's available for our daughters and their daughters because I really do believe so much in the power of moms, and our programs give the strength in motherhood. That double entendre. Physically, it gives you the strength, but emotionally and spiritually. And like you said about the well, I don't think motherhood is meant to be done alone.
Mm,
And to find a village and find a place where you are feeling strong and being with your kids, that's what I hope is the legacy. And beyond that, creating careers and job opportunities for our instructors and franchisees because I don't think that there is enough out there that careers that integrate with motherhood. I feel like it's always work versus motherhood. And
mhm.
we have really been purposeful to create a unique business opportunity that moms can do with their kids.
Yeah. I mean, that I'm super passionate about that here. As we talked about before, that's why I created my 60 Days to VA program because it is for women, moms who are looking for opportunities to build a business from home and to have that flexibility. And I love that yours does that, that it is so attainable. And I would love to hear for those who are potentially interested or maybe looking to build a business in the digital world, what advice would you give to them if they were to start today?
If they were to start Fit for Mom or something else. Sorry.
Let's say both. I mean, specifically Fit for Mom, I'd love to hear that as well as any pursuit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to start Fit for Mom, just go to fitformomfranchise.com
Perfect.
and
There you go. We'll link
we
below.
Yeah, there you go. And we'll give you a brochure and we'll talk to you. We want to see if it's the right fit for you. It doesn't do us any good if it's not the right fit. So we'll find out if the territory is right for you. And, you don't have to have a fitness background. That's kind of one of
Mm,
I started it thinking this was going to be for other fit pros like myself. But oh my gosh, Camille, our franchisees are everything from accountants to attorneys to
love it.
teachers, nurses, everything, because so many people realized their career didn't match who they wanted to be once they became a mom. Um, and then I think whatever you want to start, I think a lot of people get intimidated because you're like, well, it already is out there, right? Like it's someone's already doing it. And just start and be authentically you and your own unique touch on it and just keep showing up. I remember Michael Hyatt, again, virtual mentor of mine, once said, start marketing yourself 8 years before you know what you're going to market. Like,
Mm.
just think about what are you passionate about and just keep talking about it.
So specifically go diving into Fit for Mom, what kind of a time commitment could people expect that are a franchise owner?
So it really depends. It's like most things, you get what you put into it. We have franchisees who work 10 to 15 hours a week, and we have franchisees who work 40 hours a week. You can't probably expect the same result from 10 hours versus 40 hours, but we have a lot of franchisees who do this as a part-time business. And so it just depends on what kind of results you want to get. Most of our franchisees do start with teaching the classes. So picture that when you first become a Fit for Mom franchisee, you're probably teaching anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, teaching your own classes. And then as you start to build and scale your business, you'll hire instructors, expand your business, and maybe start teaching less yourself.
Hmm. Ooh, that's very cool. So you can actually get teachers underneath you
Oh,
and then you
absolutely.
build. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we have franchisees who have multiple, because we have 8 different programs. So we have Fit for Baby, which is our prenatal program. We have Stroller Strides, which I already talked about. We have Stroller Bar, which is like Stroller Strides, but with a bar and Pilates influence. We have Body Ignite, which is our strength program. We have, let's see if I can remember them all. Strides 360 is our cardio, speed, agility drills. Body Boost is our HIT program. I could keep going, but I won't. So you're not going to want to teach all of those. So you figure out what are the things you're most passionate about, and then you'll bring on other instructors to teach some of the other programs.
That's so cool. Oh, I love this so much. Like I had no idea. I mean, I knew because I knew I was going to meet you, but what a cool opportunity for moms to be able to open their own and to get
Thank you.
fit and to bring community. I just love everything about it. So I would love to know in terms of where people can connect with you, where would they do that? I know you mentioned it briefly, but let's just give that another moment.
Yeah, so if you want to find out anything about Fit for Mom, if you want to join a class, become an instructor or franchisee, go to fit4mom.com. It's fit and the number 4 mom.com, fit4mom.com. And I'm easy to find. I'm at Lisa Druxman on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, perfect. And if you could leave our audience with one bit of advice, what would it be? I know you've given amazing bits. So this is really asking a lot because you've already given us a lot, but what would that be?
Um, Design a life you love to live. It's up
Mm.
to you. You're the architect.
And speaking in that vein, you have a book, Level Up Your Life. Tell us about that book and where the audience can find that as well.
Yeah, so I wrote Level Up Your Life because I kept meeting moms who were giving everything to their families, everything to their business, and they felt like they had lost themselves. And so I created this playbook, if you want to call it that, to really help reclaim your energy and your time. And I realize that there are so many things we do as CEOs. So I feel like this ties into your podcast that also work in life. So
Mhm.
as a CEO, we create dashboards and we make sure we're tracking towards our goals. So I created a dashboard for my life on what are the habits that I want to work on, and then how do you make sure you're tracking towards those. So level up your life concept is that we figure out what level are you living at even without going through the assessment. I'm guessing on a scale from 0 to 10, you could all come up with a number and think, all right, I'm living at a 7, an 8, whatever the number is. And then we go, okay, what do we need to do? What would need to happen to get you to the next level? And then we create the habits to get you traction to get there.
Perfect. Oh, I need to get this book. That sounds amazing. This has been such an incredible episode. I feel like you are, again, the perfect example of a woman I love talking to about her
Oh,
business and her life. There's two questions I ask all of my guests.
okay.
And one is, what are you reading, watching, or listening to? And that can be, you can answer one or all three. And then the other is a motherhood moment that you would like to share. And that could be funny, it could be from before, it could be a recent, whatever comes to mind.
Okay. Well, I have ADD, so I can only answer one question at a
I'll go
time.
slow.
So, what I just finished reading, I highly recommend it, is The Six Types of Working Genius by Patrick
Mm,
Lencioni. So, so good. You guys, you will redesign your career and your business around your six types of working genius when you learn it. So, that is what I'm reading. Um, Watching
watching.
Outlander,
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
an old one. And what was the next question?
Listening to.
Listening to. What am I listening to? Uh, what am I listening to? I right now I'm listening to strategic coach Dan Sullivan, his podcasts.
Oh, very good. And then a motherhood moment.
Oh goodness. I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, right now I just, I've got a 20-year-old daughter who gives me a lot of fashion advice. So
Mm.
you figure it out, different stages.
I mean, that's the age where they know what to tell you, what's in
Yes,
and
yeah,
what's, yeah.
totally. Yeah, she's like, Mom,
No,
yeah, no,
yeah.
you can't wear that.
I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show. And for everyone who is listening, thank you for the support. Any subscription to subscribe or leave a comment or to engage and share this on Instagram is a huge help for our show in encouraging other moms to be inspired and what is possible and to hear amazing stories like Lisa's. So please follow us at Call Me CEO Podcast and CamilleWalker.co on Instagram. And Lisa, thank you again for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. It has been so wonderful to have you.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome.